Hello, followers. To- Hello, followers. Today we want to talk about the market, what's going on in the market, about the unemployment rate, and as well about the interest rates. Because these are very important numbers, we have to say, and as well really important for the economy. But as well in the crypto world, there are some interesting news, and I want to show you some interesting hints. So let's get started. So what do we see here first? First of all, we have this week really red week for the crypto world. As well, we had um, the tokens on the Bitcoin chain, right? Something which popped up big, but I think in the end it just kind of more kind of scam coins. So again, if you wanted to invest into these coins, I would not recommend that because there's just so low liquidity, and this liquidity is not even just a true liquidity. So I wouldn't recommend that. Just that upfront in the topic. But yeah, overall we see that we have a really bad week for crypto this week. On the next week, we get some interesting news. So, first of all, we get the retail sales, we get the core retail sales, and the unemployment claims, which are very, very important, which gives us as well another hint for the market and what the Fed might doing on the I think it is exactly in 1 month. What the Fed is doing in 1 month. If we're looking at this market right now, we see that the people thinks that the next move from the Fed is nothing. They think that we might see a 0 basis point change. But this is just the market, right? And if we're looking at it, we see the probabilities is that we have 84% of 0 basis point change, and then on the 26th, like 3 months later, again 60% of the people expect another 0% hike, which means the Fed should pivot, and then since until the end of the year, we should see 3 declines in interest rates, which are very, very interesting. And the thing is, if we see that or if the market is wrong. If we checking this one, then we see what is the market expectation. So we see that here in the lines, and what is the Fed communicating. And as you see here, we have still the dot plot that we might see a 5 point interest rate by the end of this year. So this is what is already priced in, but the market is expecting even lower levels at 3.5%, which is interesting. But if we're looking back in the history as well, the market was most times wrong when they try to predict the Fed. That's why we all time say never fight the Fed, right? And if the Fed is showing us a decrease in interest rates, then they will continue it, and the possibility that they're going to increase it after a decrease is super low. So wait for the Fed and don't pre-run the Fed's decisions. Just for a little tip from my side. If we're looking at this, what the Kashkari is saying, he said it's convincible that once we get inflation down to 2%, we could have a conversation about changing the target, which is super, super interesting because, again, why should they talk about the new target for inflation? Might be then we're talking about 3% as a normal target for the Fed. Maybe they're thinking of another boost in inflation to the upside. These are all some hints we could get if they are still talking about this. And then as well, Macroscope said, this is where you should start watching the Fed for any softening of language around the 2% inflation target. Could be media leaks or less mentioned in FOMC statements. 2% plus will be the take it at first eventual official. They know this needs a long prep, can't bring it on markets, right? Obviously, the Fed cannot just say, okay, you know what, guys, next year we have target just 3%, because 1% inflation, or going from 2% to 3%, it's 50% rise. So it's not just, no, we're gonna do that. If we look in some interesting economic data about the inflation, I already made a video on this channel with the same charts. We see that the inflation is going down. But again, it's going down on the not more important things. If we see the food and energy, it's important, but we all know as well it might be because of seasonality, right? Because in winter there's more use of energy, for example, than in summer. And as well for food, same situation. If we're checking the services, right, which is dark blue, you see that it's going really slowly down, not very fast. And this is what the Fed is talking about. They want to see a decline in the services. But if we look about the bag, which is the most built in, you see that the shelter, the most weighted one in the inflation package. And if we're checking the shelter inflation, we see that the shelter inflation just went down by a little, which could be used from Jerome to decrease, or for saying we're going to pivot the market, because we see a decline in this inflation, if it's as well just a little. And this could be caused by that, and then we could see a move to the downside in the interest rates. If we again checking the path of CPI, the market is predicting a 3% interest rate, which is super interesting. And again, the market was the most times wrong, so we might be in the middle of this one, right? So we are not there, what the market is saying. We might be here in the middle at 4.5, maybe 4.7. So something like there, where market is not correct, FED is not correct, so we are kind of in the middle. If we're checking as well the initial jobless claims, we see that the jobless claims are going straight up to the upside. And again, this is very interesting, because we all know that we are on a 60 years low in unemployment rate, right? So we are in a very, very low level, and as well the hourly earnings going really, really high. And now we see here that we see the unemployment claims going higher and higher and higher, which going to be somehow filled by the unemployment rate when the unemployment rate is going to rise. It's just a matter of time, because we see this one. This is all times an upfront indication. If this is going higher and higher, then the unemployment rate should go higher in a moment as well. Because if we get more unemployment claims, obviously either way, we should get more employed people. Or if this has not happened and the unemployment claims are heavier than the new employed person, then obviously we see a higher unemployment rate. And this is exactly what the Fed wants to see. If we're checking as well the bank's emergency lending at the Fed, we see that the Fed again entered more money into the market. So before that, we saw once how they pushed it from one day to the other day. And now we see again that they're giving out easy credits to the banks. So, and this is very interesting, because as we all know, if the bank is getting an easy credit, and again, if they're speculating with it again, then again, the FDIC is coming into it, and they as the taxpayers has to pay it. So the taxpayers paying it back if they're going bankrupt. And this is all times a really interesting sign why we see that and why it's going higher. So I would definitely look at this window more often on the next week if we see maybe another push to the upside or not. Then another big news is that Jane Street and Jump Crypto leaving the crypto space. They are one of the biggest market makers, and yeah, they're just leaving now the crypto world. What does it mean? We will have less order book liquidity. So the order book liquidity is very, very low and very, very thin, which makes it as well easier to manipulate the market, obviously. If there's less in the market, we can easily manipulate the market. I will come later on that as well, what you might have to check. Another top scenario is if we're checking the meme token trading volume, and as you see, all times we have a spike to the upside, right? We might have as well the top in the market. And this is as well an indication I would look over, and you see we have that here as well. It's still possible that we might see another spike to the upside, but I don't think that we might see that. Either way, I still think if market is pushing up, then we see markets going again into BTC. But again, we will come later to that again, what I think, what we have to look at. Then if we're checking the Ethereum's foundations transfers, we see that they sold some ETH, 15,000 ETH at a price from 1,988. And every time they did that, they had a pretty nice scenario where the market went to the downside, right? And as well, this is a good hint for lowering prices. So, but I think the most important thing what we should check is BUSDs, what they are doing in comparison to BTC. Because if we're checking, for example, here, we see on the 8th, on the 9th of May, we see a big sell-off in BUSD. And if we're checking here the market in BTC at the moment, and we go here as well to the 9th, where is it? Let me do it like that. I think it's easier. Here, you see that here. We see again, they sold at the 9th, and then we got again the pump up to the upside, right? Which was caused as well here by BUSDs. So very, very interesting here as well to check that out as well. It is very, very important. And as well, you see that if we're coming back to that, you see that here the latest dump to the downside was on the 12th. So from the 12th, we dumped again from here 5.7 to 5.6. And again, you see here as well, since then, since the 12th, the market pumped up to the upside. So checking BUSDs is very, very important. And then I would check true USD, so TUSD, if the market is coming back into it or not. So I would check, for example, you see here, the 1st of May, the market, we had here big movement to the upside with TUSDs. And if we're checking that here again, at the 1st of May, right, you see that we have this big dump to the downside. So money from Bitcoin went back to TUSD. So this is very important as well. So if I see an increase in TUSD, it gives me as well a sign of a next Bitcoin move to the downside, which will be very, very important, obviously, and as well very important to watch. If we're checking now the liquidity levels, where we have some interesting liquidity levels, then you will see that we have big interesting liquidity levels here at this level. So you see all the green levels are where liquidity is. So there's still the possibility to going back to 30,600 to grab this liquidity. But again, we have some levels here which could be used, right, because these are all buy orders, to be used for selling orders where the market could then sell off. Because as you see, we're already building new levels to the downside when we're going a little bit higher, breaking a new high, then obviously we already getting some new levels to the downside where the market or what the market could take out. If we're checking the liquidation heat map and going over a month's run, then we see here as well on the upside we have this big level. We took out finally this level where we've been talking about weeks, and if we're checking the 3 months level, you see we still have this level here at 22,000 and here at 25,000. So this will be the next level, and I think this is as well the biggest level we can get at 22,000. So I still think the market has a potential to go to lower levels. If we're checking here as well, I mean, we have been already talking about that. When we had this pump here, this little one to the upside, you see it was caused by BUSDs. BUSD was buying. When we had this pump, it was further away. I think we already talked about this one. And overall, everything is selling off, right? But obviously not BUSD. It's not selling off into BUSD. We saw it a bit in US dollars. But yeah, as you see, spot is selling and futures is selling as well. But not that big. Then we have here, I mean, I guess it's still super high in futures as well. If we're seeing this market from here, we're at 6 point here, and then we are minus, it was kind of 2 billion selling pressure in the futures market. So this is maybe interesting as well. So let's talk about the market overall and about the charts. Okay. Let me move here. I think it was, first of all, it was this one, right? And then, I guess it was this one. Yeah. Okay. And what do we see here? So, first of all, let's talk about the BTC. So, first, we talked about this scenario. To get this scenario, I still think it looks pretty nice. To get this kind of scenario, if you're looking at this weekly candle, it looks similar to this one. I still think that this one is possible. We might see a smaller one next week, and then the week after we should see a big one. But I still don't think that we're gonna get this kind of scenario, what we had here. That we rather like getting this scenario here. So this one we had to the upside, and now we're getting something like this one to the downside. So that we have something like this. Because I think that makes more sense for myself, and as well, if I'm looking at the chart, it makes more sense that the market moves like this, and then we have a 3-way correction from this move to the upside. So we have one big impulse, right? And now we need 3 corrections to the downside. So 1, 2, 3, and it could be here at the end where we have the 3. So this might, for me, looking really, really well as well. And as well, we are on different times, and I think everything will be different. And as well, the halving and all the things where they say we've been exactly 70 days on the bottom, and all the things. It was exactly 70% as well. I don't think that this will play out again. So that's to this one. Let me change it to the volatility index. If we have the dollar index, I've been talking about it, that we have now placed to the upside on the dollar, and the market can go here to the next level, which will be there. So this is the next target where the market could go, and then I think this is where I see the market definitely go, around 108. So I think the market has definitely placed. First target will be this one at 103. If we come across this one, then I think we will touch some 108 and then the 109. So this is very, very interesting to watch, because we have to get out of this bottom formation. We have this bottom here, which is kind of annoying. But again, I still see the possibility to go further up. And yeah. So big resistance will be here at, as what I said, at 103. Looking at the 4-hour chart, looks perfectly. We just broke out of this formation. Looks nice. If we're looking at the S&P 500, S&P 500 just sideways since April beginning, and then we have this big sideways range since January, the beginning of this year, where we are on the top at the moment. If we're looking at this one, yeah, market has a potential, if we're breaking up to the upside, to going even higher, and then the target will be here at 4391. Right, this is the possibility where we could go, and what we might see as well. So yeah, let me do as well this one. And then I want to close everything else, which is not important anymore right now in the moment. So yeah, as you see here, this is where the market could go next. Oops. Okay, checking now the BTC, and I'm entering here as well the cloud. First of all, BTC has now the biggest potential to go to the upside again, because we are in the cloud right now, but it doesn't really matter, because in the weekly we are coming as well into the cloud, and we all know the higher time frame is more important. But if we're checking now our cloud, right, then we had here the perfect long scenario. On the daily, we coming into it as well for the first touch, so we could have here the first possibility for the longs. And if we wanted to go short, we had the whole week time to go short. So let me show it to you, what I meant by that. So if we have this, for example, as a short, now we're checking the M15 chart. We check where the M15 was short as well, and it was the whole time here. So we had the possibility for going short over there. We had the possibility to go over there short, and we had the possibility to go short over there. And then we go to this one here, and then we have one possibility. As soon as we get a close below this level here, we place a stop above the high. So we had this close here, and then we had easily trade there. So that was the first trade we could make in this week. Let me change this one. That same situation we had here. You could re-entry here. We are above our cloud. We get the close below it, high above it. And we have the targets here as well. So super simple. And if we're checking this one, we had the possibility. Here the problem is we've been long time above blue line, so I wouldn't take any shorts over there. But as you see, this was good shorts in BTC for this time. So it was easy to trade it actually. There was no difficulty not to do that. So just to let you know. Okay. So let me move this one. Okay, so okay, let's talk here about ETH. What do we have here in ETH? ETH has a retracement to the upside. We took out this high, which is nice. So we have the possibility to go lower from here. we are still negative on this trend on the H4. If we're looking here as well, same situation. And we see we are here just in a little correction. And now we have the possibility, if we break this kind of trend line, that we're going even lower now. Then we then going lower on the chart and taking out these lows here. And yeah, that would be very, very interesting. If we're checking BNB, same situation, and as well for ADA as well. Let's talk about Quant. And again, after 5 minutes, I will give you a nice information as well. We see VHR is going lower. We still have this target on the upside on which is here. So the next shorts could be here at 0.005. Then we have VChain. Next target will be here at 0.018. AVAX still has a target to the upside at 15.97. And then we have this move here still going to the upside. And then we had Quant. Quant is still for me going to 100, as I said that weeks and weeks ago. Same situation for Solana. Solana still has a potential to going even lower. If we're checking the 1 hour chart, nothing special here, obviously. Solana going actually not big moves, but we have still this target open at 1951. And then I think we can go even lower. Yeah, that's to the webinar today. I hope you had a great day. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And next Thursday, in this coming week, from 15, so from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., I will do a live trading as well. And if you want to join it, just join it. Obviously, unfortunately, it will be on German, but you can still enter the trades. And if you have a question in English, I will answer that in English as well. So, have a great day.